Jan-Åke has been active in the international arena of business for more than 30 years. He is now dedicated as a communication consultant with a focus on sales and negotiation skills, as well as intercultural issues. Jan-Åke is from Sweden and has resided in Australia, Latin America, the Middle East and Asia. Wow, you've traveled far. During this period, he has engaged in business, high technology sales and numerous of international negotiations. He has also acquired a vast experience in international business, as well as a good touch and feel for different cultures. His career is based on an engineering background. He's a master of business from Australia and complementary business studies from Berkeley University in California and Thunderbird University in Arizona. In his consulting role with international business, he offers inspirational speeches, courses and seminars in leadership and communication, negotiation, cultural awareness, creative and conflict management. Wow, you were so skilled and so traveled, so amazing. He also offers coaching and mentorship with the above areas. He's also known for his skill as a public speaker and is very good at presenting complex issues. Over the last 15 years, he has been teaching negotiation, communication skills to thousands of people in universities and in the private arena. In his profession as a public speaker, consultant and trainer, he is also the author of the book, The Art of Negotiation, How to Negotiate Through Personal Leadership and NLP. I'd love to buy the book, so hopefully you'll tell me about it later. It's an area within behavioral science where Jan-Åke was a trainer certificate from the NLP University, California. He is also a certified mental trainer and international coach and is the co-founder of HeartSmart's, which they're going to be talking about in a few minutes. And Sara Nyström is the executive director of Center for Body Language, the world's #1 body language training for business that has trained more than 100,000 people and has more than 450 trainers and 20 partners around the world. She is also the co-founder of HeartSmart and founder of Impact Pro, leading expert in sales acceleration through emotional intelligence. She is a certified body language master trainer and micro expressions trainer, certified body language coach and impact coach. She is also a certified mental trainer and has a genuine passion for communication and building relationships, something that has been very noticeable through her entire career. And I'm sure you can see that with her and Claire. She has gained an extensive experience in communication from various sectors after many years within the area of tourism. And we could go on, and she is so traveled and so skilled. So please, can you welcome together Jan-Åke and Sara Nyström. How are you this evening?
Thank you, Tracy, for that.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic introduction. Thank you. We're almost blushing over here.
No, it's amazing to read people's bios, and I read other people's and I get so humble because I think, oh my God, I haven't got anywhere near as many skills as some of you guys. So it's amazing what you've done. So
Tracy, you have mounted together with your husband a fantastic organization. How about that?
Thank you. So yeah, let's just kickstart it with a couple of questions, if I may. Is it really true that body language is a great part of communication, or is it really a myth? What would you say to that?
Well, it is not a myth. It is actually true. The body language is really a big part of our communication. And I'm not sure, should we have some illustrations that we'd like to share? Is that okay?
Yes, of course. Yeah, so you should be able to share screen.
We actually did. Do you mind, Tracy, to start with the first question? There is question number 1. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Why are misunderstandings so common?
Okay, but I cannot host disable attendee screen sharing. Can you please enable it, Tracy?
Oh. That is strange because I did.
Please host disable attendee screen sharing. Okay.
Pin spotlight, make host, make co-host. Ah, I did do it earlier. Wyatt didn't do it. There you go. So you should be able to do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we are.
Fabulous.
And so if you may, Tracy, please ask that question. The first question. Kan du göra den stor?
Ja,
Sorry.
det är den här bilden.
Ja, men ska göra den här stor.
Ja.
Annars ser de det här också.
Okay, so why are misunderstandings so common?
Yeah, why are misunderstandings so common? Has any one of you been misunderstood? Anyone who hasn't, hold up your hand.
I have.
No one in the world has never been misunderstood. And one can ask the question, really, why is it so difficult to understand each other sometimes, or very often, I would say, from kids, parents, marriages, partnerships. You go on and you come up into organizations in the professional life where misunderstandings is a part of life from morning to evening. I just told Sarah a story today. I overheard someone in the bus going to this place today, and it was a woman who had a clink. She was renovating her bathroom, and she had organized one to put up the clinker in the bathroom. Tiles, you know, the tiles. And then she had bought a certain borderline of the tiles, and she wanted that borderline to be horizontal. And she thought that the brick layer would automatically know that, but he put it vertically instead. When she came home, the bathroom looked totally different from what she expected, and they had to pull everything down, and it was a lot of conflicts and arguments about the money and the cost and all this. And I mean, these things, they happen all the time.
Absolutely.
And the question is why? And you know, we have been a little bit involved in the brain a lot, both Sarah and me, for some funny reason, because a lot of things happens up here. And the answer we have is really up here, because, you know, people experience the reality in completely different ways. And the most difficult thing to get people to understand is the fact that people, our next door, our wife, a husband, or whatever, observes the reality completely different from what I do. And it's of course not so strange that people have difficult to understand that, because the reality we experience with our eyes, ears, smell, feelings, is of course the only reality that exists, we think. But, and I could go on and try to explain that in a very deep fashion by going into physics and so on, but everything is related to information that we hear, see, feel, taste, and touch, and smell. And if you break that down, we are really coming down into frequencies. And the point is that people select different frequencies. So we live in different worlds. And that is one thing that is very important to understand. And what I usually say in, you know, misunderstandings, we have a history of coming from the savannah in East Africa. You know that. That's where all humans come from originally, they say. At least research says so. Humans have spread out and different races have developed and all this. In the savannah, how did we communicate when we were original humans, Homo sapiens? How did we communicate? We didn't have language, did we? So how did we do? Anyone who's got any idea?
They're all muted.
Huh? We should maybe go to the next question.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe we get an answer.
Tracy, do you have another question for us?
Yeah. So is it really true that body language is a great part of our communication?
Yeah. Now we're getting to that question. You see, we have a certain order how we have structured things. So yeah, I'm going to pick up on the savannah, because imagine we are walking around there, and the answer to your question, Jan-Åke, is of course body language, right? And we still use body language very, very much. It's not a myth. It's actually a very big part of our communication. And maybe you have seen this before, because we keep focusing, when we talk about communication, we think about words, but do you know that only 7% of our communication is actually words? 38% is our voice, and as much as 55% consists of body language. So if you add body language with voice, it's totally 93%, a staggering 93%, which means that 93% of our communication is actually non-verbal. So talking about body language, you're talking about the posture, the facial expressions that we're going to get back to in a while, and gestures. Yeah, we communicate all the time with our bodies. Of course, we shouldn't take this for, it's not, we are social complex beings, and this is not like it's always 7%. This is based on a study that sometimes has, in some occasions, has been criticized. It always depends on the individual and on the situation. So we should not say that it's always like this. But that we still have this image here. We want to underline how important. Doesn't really matter the percentage. What we want to underline is that a big part of our communication is definitely nonverbal, and not only that, it's also subconscious. So what we think is communication, speaking with words and being conscious about it, is just a fraction of it, right, Jan-Åke?
Yeah.
About micro expressions or facial expressions, have you heard about micro expressions? Yeah, Claire is nodding. I know that you've heard of it, and Tracy as well. And maybe you've seen the Netflix series Lie to Me. So some people usually have seen that, and that's all about micro expressions. So micro facial expressions, they are involuntary muscle movements in the face that reveal hidden emotions. So they are half a second or shorter. So I don't talk about these long expressions that we all do when we're talking, right? Like some people often raise their eyebrows when they speak, for example. I don't mean those. I mean the very quick ones. For example, the lip corner quickly going up when somebody's saying something, showing contempt. Wow, if you're in a business meeting and you see somebody raising one lip corner, or maybe quick wrinkles around the nose, that is a sign that you should change something in your offer, right? And if you miss that window, it's not good because those are negative signals, just to mention an example, right? And this is something that we all emit subconsciously, and we pick up on it also subconsciously. But in art, we train you to increase your ability to see these things, because we need to practice to become better at it. Also, if we think about the voice, for example, if we say, I can say, for example, this is a lovely house. And I can say, this is a lovely house, right? You can hear the difference, right? So the voice, that I'm sure you're all aware of it, is also very important, because we add, words. You see what I'm trying to say with that the words are not that important, but the way I'm saying it is equally, if not more important. I don't know if you want to fill in with something, Jan-Åke.
No, I think we can
move on to, so we can go to the next question.
So is it true that we can move mountains if we set goals and follow them, or is that a myth also?
Yes, the answer is yes. Ask those who have tried and they have seen it, especially in the sports world. There you can see very concrete results from using goal setting in what they call mental training very often. And one interesting example is, for instance, I don't have the figures in my head exactly now, but you know, in the 1960s, nobody thought that a man could run 100 meters under 10 seconds. Did you hear about that? Anyone ever? That was the case. The world record was just above 10 seconds. And everyone thought that it was impossible to run below 10 seconds. And the one who broke the world record in the 60s, I think it was 62, 63, by 9.97 or whatever, After that, 7 runners broke 10-second level in the same year. What does that say? Well, suddenly it became possible to run below 10 seconds. This is a little bit what goal setting is all about also. Goal setting is really, you see a picture here with some sparkling stars and a line between them. That line is supposed to symbolize something called synapse. Have you heard about synapses? Synapses is a firework of connections in our head. They also actually form our reality because they are the programming instructions that interpret all the information that we take in. When we set goals, we give our brain instructions. That's what we really do. And physically, we wire up things in our head. But of course, you have to have the principles of goal setting. For instance, one is the desire. It's very important that we have the desire to do it. Another thing is that we have the truth or the belief that we can do it, that it's possible. And the third is the expectations that we are willing to take, that we think we are worth the result of the goal setting. Then after that, if you know the techniques of goal setting, that is that you have to talk the language of the brain. And you know the language of the brain, you know what that is? It's not Swedish. And it's not English, even though it's a big language. It's what you see, what you hear, what you feel, and what you smell, and what you taste. That's the language of the brain. So a goal shall be a picture which is very appealing to you because you know it's got to be connected to desire of what you see, what you hear, what you feel, and if you can add smell and taste as well, the smell of nice champagne when you won the cup or whatever. And the more true you can make that picture and that image, the more the brain will accept it as something that is real. And then you have actually established in your brain what will happen in the future. And it will happen if you do it properly. This is essential, especially for a lot of people like you, entrepreneurs that are starting up something else, to have it's not only sports people that should use this. And the point is really that what we can say like this, we have a conscious part in our brain, we have a subconscious part. The subconscious part is thousands times bigger than the conscious part. I usually compare the subconscious with the conscious, like your subconscious part is like an elephant. And your conscious part is like if you were sitting on top of the elephant riding it. And you know, if the elephant wants to go that direction, you want to go that direction, what direction will you end up in? You will end up in the direction of the elephant, right? So you better instruct the elephant what direction to take. And that's exactly what goal setting is. You make instructions to your subconscious part of what is going to happen.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So is communication between humans mostly conscious or subconscious? What would you say?
It's funny you're asking that, Tracy. I'm gonna give you a clue here. So we're gonna get back to my special area of expertise, which is microfacial or facial microexpressions. And as you can see on the slide in front of you, microexpressions are subconscious, that I actually also mentioned before. So if we take a look at the brain, and I am sure this is hugely simplified, but it is commonly said that we have 3 parts of the brain: the reptile brain and the emotional brain. Those are the older parts of the brain, and they're very quick. Then we have the rational part of the brain, which is the newest part of the brain, and it's quite slow. because we need to think and we need to reason when we are rational and we take decisions, right? But the reptile brain and emotional brain, they are quick ones, and those are the ones that we need to have to survive. For example, if we walk in the bush and we see a stick that looks like a snake, we don't activate our rational brain and we go like, I wonder if this is a stick or if it's a snake, because then we could be bitten. We're dead already, right? So we need to use the quick parts of the brain, which is the reptile brain and emotional brain. We jump aside and then we save ourselves if it is a snake, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We don't need to know in that moment if it's a stick or if it's a snake, right? Also, the facial micro expressions, they are controlled by the emotional and the reptile parts of the brain. And this is very interesting because it means that they cannot be controlled. We simply don't have time to control them because they're quick. They happen subconsciously, they happen quickly. I told you before, half a second or shorter. This means, you know what it means? It means that you always have the truth in other people's faces. And if you learn how to speak to the emotional brain of someone, if you learn to stimulate that part of the brain during a negotiation, for example, you can get a lot of nonverbal information that you can adapt the continued conversation with. And that means the world. It helps you to close far more deals because you become an emotional, intelligent communicator.
Yeah, amazing.
So yeah, to get back to the questions, is communication between humans mostly conscious or subconscious? Big part, of course, we have conscious communication. It would be strange otherwise, but a big part of it is subconscious. As you can see in this picture, we communicate constantly with the body and the face, emitting signals and picking up signals as well.
It's fascinating. So how does your self-image affect your success in your business?
Yeah, I was like, get in.
Could I hear the question again?
Yeah, sure. How does your self-image affect your success in business?
Self-image, yes. Well, I got a little picture here. I think that picture says a lot. What do you see when you look yourself in the mirror?
You see a lion, but you're only...
Of course.
Yeah, it could be the other way around also, you know. You've seen The Lion King, the film of The Lion King. It could be the lion seeing a cat in the mirror also. I think this picture actually says a lot. Sometimes I usually suggest to people in mental training that a very good exercise is to face yourself in the mirror every morning, smile. It's also always nice, and say a few good things about yourself. I'm beautiful, I'm smart, I am quick, I'm strong, I am, etc., etc. Try that every morning, 10 seconds or so. You don't need any more in order to build your self-image. But you know, and I heard some of you people are coaching and so on, and I heard someone here talking about people with problems and so on, you know. People with problems always suffer from a bad self-image. And self-image is the key to everything. And of course, we have talked about communication, we have talked about goal setting. And in goal setting, your goals depends on what self-image you have. No, I can't do that. I'm not good enough for that. So immediately there, your self-image is setting your borders. Where am I going to go? How far will I go in life? How well will my business do? Oh, I'm happy if I get enough so I get food on the table. Fine, that's what you will get. Because there are so many others who are so much better than me, or whatever. So self-image is really the key to everything.
And I want to feel, imagine, how do you think the body language is of a person
Exactly.
that sees himself or herself as a lion? And how do you think the body language is during negotiation, for example, or a business or an interview, you know, if the person sees him or herself as a cat? Think about it for a while.
You communicate your self-image.
Huge difference. So our brain and our muscles, they are connected. So the emotions, they show up not only in our head, they show up constantly, whether we want it or not, in our faces and in our body. So if you feel good about something, you show it, you straighten your back, you feel confident. But if you feel sad or you feel insecure, you want to make yourself smaller, right? And other people will subconsciously pick up on that and understand at a subconscious level that you're not self-confident, right? So we may read a book on body language and understand the good, the positive positions and the negative positions. But if we really, really want to transform the way we communicate with others, we get back all the time to this mental training. We need to train the inside, the mind, and then automatically it will translate into a powerful and impactful body language, positive body language. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's so fascinating. So which characteristics do you think are most important to be a good negotiator?
Yeah, well, negotiation has been something that I have been teaching a lot and coaching negotiators also. I have experienced it myself also, as you heard in the introduction. We usually look at negotiation in this manner. I have a picture here. The result. How is the result? And many people, they look at, did I win? Did I get the most out of it? Did the other party cry when he went out or she went out? And they measure that as a good result. The little bit more clever negotiator also maybe ask himself or herself, is the other party also happy? How will our cooperation work in the future? Will we be motivated to help each other if we run into some trouble and so forth? Can we solve the issues together in the future? Will it be fun to work together? You know, if it's not fun to work together, well then life must be funny. That's what it's all about. So we also look at relations. Many people forget about that. And instead of making the negotiation process a negative path of, because, you know, very often, you all know that who are entrepreneurs, that, you know, when you meet someone the first time, and we can do this and we can do that, and, oh yeah, that would be fun and so forth, you know, and then suddenly you come to negotiation, you start to take up the figures and how much should I have and how much should you have and all this, or what's the price and it's too high and it's too low and what have you. Then usually the relations are taking some punishment, you know. So, and I usually say, if you're a good negotiator, you should be able to turn around the process of negotiation into becoming something positive, building further relationships, building the relationship to be stronger. When you get a strong relationship, something magic happens. You know, when you build relations, what happens? There is a key word. I would like to ask you a question, really, a little bit also. The question is here. You can try to help me to answer that. Which characteristics? Anyone who has got some good characteristic that you should have as a human to result to
be approachable and not
Be a good listener.
Approachable, I heard, yes.
If anyone wants to say anything, please unmute.
Be a good listener.
Listener, very good. Who was it? Emma who said that? That I hear very often. Are you a good listener, Emma?
I try to be.
Okay. Now I should be a bit nasty with you. What do you do when you listen? When you're a good listener, what do you do then?
I know what
you don't talk. You let somebody listen.
Okay, so if you don't talk, then you're a good listener.
Eye contact.
Well, you interact with them. It's eye contact and you talk to them, but you give them the opportunity to talk without interrupting them.
Yeah. No, I buy your answer. The interesting thing when you ask people that, well, I'm a good listener, I say, what do you do? Oh, I don't know. I keep quiet, or I look them in the eyes, or But it's not so obvious always, is it? What do you do when you listen? And
We'll
what
give it
do
them
people
time.
who don't listen, what do they do?
They think about their
They
own.
think about something else when someone is talking, isn't it? So again, you're back to the thoughts. The thoughts, if you are fully focused and show interest on the one who is talking to you, and I would say fully 100% focus, then you can maybe, then there are other communication techniques as well, maybe have a chance to understand what that person is trying to say. But in this fast world, people think about other things and they hear words, and then you have marriages, people who've been married over 40 years, and one partner talks and talks and talks, and the other one has closed their eyes. Have you heard about selective hearing? They, they don't hear, they just hear a lot of words, and the other party is screaming louder and louder every year, saying he's getting more and more stupid every year, my old man, I've been screaming about this for 30 years and he still doesn't understand. So I think listening is one very, very important part of negotiation, definitely. Yeah.
I think there's one more slide.
Pardon? Yeah, and attitudes is another. I'd like to have the time to go into this picture because it's actually a very important picture, but I try to take it very quickly. I have noticed when I have been dealing with negotiators for the last 15 years in educational manner, where we have exercises and so on, that attitudes differ very much. And the interesting thing is that you also see a difference in attitudes between different branches, So if you take, for instance, the building industry, the construction industry, there you find a lot of poker attitudes among participants, because it's a culture. It's become a culture of the industry. If you take the IT industry or the telecom industry, where I came from, I worked for Ericsson for many, many years. Then the idealistic approach was very common in that culture, in that industry. Why? Because when I worked for Ericsson, we have British Telecom was our only customer in the UK until the deregulation. Then now there are many more, of course. But in the old days, Ericsson had one customer in every country and no more. And it was like a marriage. The supplier and the customer, we were fighting with each other a bit like a husband and wife, but nothing else. And we made sure the customers of Ericsson understood that Ericsson had to make money, and Ericsson understood all the problems and took care of their customers and so on. But if you take the attitudes of the poker, that is more, I won. Negotiation is a game. And you win the game, and the more you can suck out of the other one, the better you are, and the better you have performed. But, the problem with that attitude is that you get problems afterwards.
And that you can see it in the body language.
Yes, if you can see that through, exactly. So the skill in negotiation is also to be able to turn around and identify what kind of person you have in front of you. Is it a poker or is it an idealist? And how do you get them into your game, your part of the game? Yeah, that is a little bit. So in all, I think negotiation and sales is very much about being very competent in communication and being able to read and understand other people, and that's a big part of the communication.
Yeah, and sales and negotiation builds on emotions. Imagine we buy on emotions. Most decisions we take when we buy something are based on emotions. Of course, we do think, and it's not only emotions, but a big part of our decisions are based on emotions when it comes to sales, right? And also in negotiations, imagine people feel so much when they negotiate. We are afraid, we are happy, we are nervous, we're angry, we're all over the place, right? And we may think that we keep it inside, but if we learn how to read, we can use that and we can meet the needs during negotiation. So that's a bit what HeartSmart is about, being HeartSmart when we negotiate and when we sell. And that takes us to the last question that we have, I think.
Yeah, is it possible to increase our charisma and communication skills?
It's a very interesting question, I think. And yes, I'm going to make you happy. It is possible to increase your charisma and your communication skills. We can always get better. And interestingly enough, there are not so many people that admit, even to themselves, that they are not so good communicators. Most people really believe that they are good communicators. But let me tell you, the truth is that most of us need to increase our communication skills, which is essential when it comes to business and not the least being an entrepreneur. So I'm going to give you 2 examples that shows that it's possible. At Center for Body Language, we do body language coaching, and I have a film clip that I usually show during our trainings. It is a CEO of a big company, and he had a lot of negative, subconsciously negative signals going out in the face, in the body, moving his hands in an uncontrolled manner. It's good to talk with your hands, but it could also be in an uncontrolled manner. It's not very good. So what we did, we coached him for 2 weeks, body language coaching. And then when I say body language coaching, again, it doesn't mean that we taught him how to stand, how to sit, how to smile. No, we worked on his mind. And when he managed, I should say, to change his mindset to a positive one, what do you think happened to his body language? What do you think happened to his facial expressions? I don't talk about the big facial expressions. I talk about the small ones that we pick up on. What do you think happened? Easy question, yeah? That nobody dares to answer.
Miracles happen.
Miracles happen.
So, mindset and they became more confident. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a film clip you see before the training and after the training. He talks about the same thing, but the man you see on the screen is a pity I cannot show you now. I haven't prepared for that. Well, the man you can see on the screen is a different person. Now, he has the same looks, obviously. We didn't do any plastic surgery, but we almost perceive him as a different person only by 2 weeks of coaching the mindset. And I usually ask our participants, so who would you prefer to do business with? Number 1 or number 2? And of course, everybody says number 2, which is much more charismatic. So we can increase our charisma, and also we can increase our emotional intelligence by increasing our ability to pick up on signals, and that actually raises the emotional intelligence, which is a great asset when it comes to business, right? Jan-Åke, I don't know if you want to fill in with something.
Yeah, I can. You remember I started up with the savanna of Africa, and why it's so common that we misunderstand each other. And I guess they misunderstood each other in the savannah as well. But in certain areas, I think people were actually more skillful in communication in those days than what they are today, because we have forgotten a few important things when it comes to human communication. Namely, that body language and voice is the major part of our communication, number 1. And number 2, that our communication is basically to 99% or more a subconscious process. We don't know consciously what we deliver to the other person we communicate with, and the other person who receives the information from our communication. Now we're talking micro expressions in the face and body language and all this, is not conscious about what we're receiving, but it ends up in feelings. I don't like that person, or the chemistry is not good, or whatever. So what Sarah said is very important, I think. Communication is very much about mindset. And it's very much about, because, you know, people know what you think. And especially when you meet the person and you think that person look ugly, or because we make our mind when we see a new person, that person feel that, not consciously, but subconsciously, through our expressions, because we leak. We leak this, whether we want it or not. So don't think that what you have in your mind is staying there. You're sending it in some way or another. Yeah.
So no, I was just thinking, I think time is coming to an end probably. And before we have a small offer to make you, and before we do that, maybe we should say only 1 minute about a HeartSmart concept, what it's all about. If you had finished, Jan-Åke, had you?
Yes, I'm finished.
So just want to take the opportunity, if it's okay, just to say you have understood more or less what it's all about, but I still would just want to finish off, if that's okay, Tracy. So what we do, we have many things in common, right? We have a lot of international experience, and we have practiced our communication skills all over the world. And I've come to believe that it's for a reason, yeah. And that's why we have come together. And we also have a deep understanding of neuropsychology and what we call mental training that is connected with communication. So we offer negotiation and sales training combined, I would say, very much with NLP and mental training. That's what we call HeartSmart business growth. And HeartSmart for us is to have heart, not only mind, to have the heart to build relations. So when we train companies and businesses to build long-lasting relations, because that's how we believe business should be done, right? And learn how to understand other people's emotions, and how to be creative when it comes to leadership, sales, and negotiation using these skills, and how to increase your inner strength to become unstoppable, to have that feeling of being unstoppable, which will translate into the way you communicate with your customers, and you will believe in yourself more. And ultimately, how to develop your charisma and your emotional intelligence. So that's what HeartSmart is about.
Yeah, and the optimal way of doing these things is, in my opinion, really to meet each other and do a lot of exercises in training in a nice environment, like for instance in the northern parts in Sweden, or where there are beautiful mountains and so on. No, but it really is. But now we have also this peculiar thing called Corona going around in the world. So we don't see that possibility in the nearby future. At this moment, we would note that, because we would be happy to go down to the UK also.
Yes.
Not only North.
Because we have a positive mindset. We do believe it's going to happen, right? Maybe not be that far ahead, but for now, we have an offer for you. It's going to be online. Then I apologize. My apologies, or our apologies, because this slide we realized too late that is from the webinar we had with you, Claire. So the dates, don't mind the dates. We can come back to that later. So what we offer is a 90-minute HeartSmart masterclass, where our concept builds on 5 pillars, but we're going to go into 2 of them, which is Jan-Åke, HeartSmart communication, and HeartSmart sales and negotiation. So this is what we're going to have time for, to touch upon these ones during the 90 minutes. And the date, of course, is not 28th of May. So we're going to have to ask to get back with a date. I do believe it will be in September. And if we please could ask Tracy and Paul, and we could share the date later on for those of you that would be interested in it. So our apologies again for that. The cost is 57 euros. And if somebody's in Sweden, it's 599 crowns. But of course, we have a special offer for you guys here tonight, and we do it for free. because you're so fantastic, all of you. Yeah. So we do encourage you to come on this training, because you've only seen a little glimpse of what we have to offer, and we will go a little bit more into depth. And it also includes a test, so you can actually see your ability to read micro expressions, which would be a great thing to know, right? And do remember that it can be improved. And of course, you do not register through Introbiz Sweden. I don't know, Tracy, if you would like participants to contact us directly, and then we could share our contact details. Maybe if we could get help with that, Tracy. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, and obviously everybody on here, I know I can see that David Davis wants to do it. Emma Cooksley wants to do it. Tony Clarkston wants to do it. So yeah.
Great. Very happy to hear that. Of course, the offer is not valid until 21st of May. To forget about the days. So if we could maybe somehow through you, Tracy and Paul, share the date, and we'll be very happy. And then we'll see how to register for it. If you contact us, or if you can do it through you, we will get back on that if that is okay.
Yeah, of course. And well, I if you can download the chat.
Yeah.
I'll download the chat, and then I'll get people who do want to come on it. I'll obviously email them to you, no problem at all.
Fantastic.
Or if you want, actually what you could do, if you'd like to share your email on the chat bar once you finish your presentation, just before I close the meeting. And you know, everybody, if you could just email Jan-Åke and Sara, just to say I'm in, and then you've got their, you know, they've got your details then. So
please do. And if you come, we will, of course, this is just the beginning, right? We have so much going on to offer you guys. And also as we really reveal a little bit before, we have things going on together with Claire in northern Sweden as well. And also we wouldn't mind to come to UK in the future. So we'll see about that. But this is a good start, and we hope that as many of you as possible would like to join us.
Well, there's loads. I've got Daryl Irwin, Andrew Stinchcombe, Paul Rees, Lee Eustace,
Fantastic.
Peter Bangham, Sue Worrell, Tony, Emma.
Great.
So well done. And I'm really grateful for all you guys for staying on tonight, and obviously, you know, respecting Jan-Åke and Sara. You know, they've come from Sweden. Claire's been working really, really hard over in Sweden to build her connections. Obviously, they're members of Introbiz, and it's lovely that you're all happy to support the Swedish business community. So I'm loving it, and I think you are as well, Claire, aren't you? I can see Claire's got a massive grin on her face.
You can read Claire's micro expressions, right? And her facial expressions. That's good.
Would you just like to unshare the screen just to see yourselves back online? That would be good. And so lovely. Thank you so much for that. It's absolutely fascinating.
And from both of us, thanks for inviting us. Thanks for having us, and for letting us share some of our knowledge with you tonight. So thank you very much.
No problem at all. Thank you. And thank you for being with us. It's been great.